Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Joseph Lopez. Let's take a look at the headlines. The first of the 5-day state funeral for the late Arthur N.R. Robinson comes to a close as special guests and members of the cabinet pay their respect. Several international CARICOM heads of state expected for the ecumenical service of the late Arthur N.R. Robinson. And a memorial service held in memory of fallen national security officers in Camp Omega some 26 years ago. Welcome and thank you for joining us. The first day of the 5-day state funeral for the late Arthur Napoleon N.R. Robinson commenced with full military procession from the Clerkenbato Funeral Home to the current seat of Parliament at the Waterfront Complex. Special guests and members of the cabinet took the opportunity to pay respect to the statesman who once braved his life for this country.
Honoring a true statesman, members of the Defence Force out in their numbers paying tribute to former President and Prime Minister N.R. Robinson. From as early as 6 a.m., members of the military gathered outside a Clerkenbato Funeral Home located on Tragarit Road in preparation for state funeral for the only man who served as both head of state and head of government of Trinidad and Tobago. Draped in the Trinidad and Tobago flag, military personnel lifted a casket bearing the body of the late Arthur Napoleon Raymond Robinson onto the gun carriage that would make its way through the capital city. A somber procession would signal the commencement of a 5-day state funeral brought business as usual in Port of Spain to a halt as it made its way onto St. Vincent Street, passing the Red House where the former Prime Minister once withstood an insurrection, taking a bullet for a nation's freedom, but living to see democracy return to Trinidad and Tobago. Many onlookers stopped to view the movement of the statesman to the rotunda located at a Parliament building, even as members of the military band brought the parade to a stop. But it was His Excellency President Anthony Carmona, accompanied with his wife Mrs. Rima Carmona and their son Christian, who made their way to sign the Book of Condolences placed at the Legislative House. He was followed by the former President, successor to the late Honourable N.R. Robinson, George Maxwell Richards, 4th President of Trinidad and Tobago. One by one, members of the Cabinet made their way to the Parliament chambers where they would pay their respect to the statesman. Led by Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, the ministers followed in, making their way past the casket and members of the Robinson family. It's expected that the body of the former President and Prime Minister will lie in state for the next 2 days here at the current seat of Parliament located at the International Waterfront. Following this, a national ceremony celebrating the life and achievements of the former President will be held at the National Academy for Performing Arts. Members of the public will be privy to visit the rotunda and pay their final respects by filing past the flag-draped unopened casket. Kimberly Calawan, News 4.
Thank you, Kimberly. Meanwhile, Trade, Industry and Communications Minister Senator Vasan Barath gave his commendations to those involved in the planning and execution of the state funeral held to honor the late Honorable N.R. Robinson.
A significant amount of planning has gone into today's event, as you can imagine. A lot of stage managing has gone into this event, and so far everything has worked like clockwork. Right from 5:45 a.m. this morning when the body would have been picked up, or 6 o'clock when it would have been picked up to be brought here. So everything's going well thus far, and I think we can all be proud of the work that the services that are here have done as far as Trinidad and Tobago is concerned.
And while a state ecumenical service will be held on Thursday, the minister noted that a number of international dignitaries, including current CARICOM heads of state, will be present for the ceremony in celebrating the life of the former president and prime minister of Trinidad and Tobago.
There are dignitaries from 9 Caribbean countries coming. I think there are 3 prime ministers, a governor general, and also we're expecting the president of the International Court, President Sung.
More news when we return. You're with News 4. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, major events are taking place for the state funeral of the late Honorable Arthur Napoleon Raymond Robinson, who passed away on April 9th, 2014. The first to take place is the laying of state in Port of Spain.
On Tuesday, the body of Trinidad and Tobago's former President and Prime Minister Arthur Napoleon Raymond Robinson lay in state at the current seat of Parliament, located at the International Waterfront Centre, Ricen Road, Port of Spain. On Tuesday and Wednesday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., all special guests, dignitaries, officials and members of the public will be allowed to pay their respects by filing past the flag-draped unopened casket. A condolence book will be available for signing on the days of public viewing. A state ecumenical service will also be held in honor of Mr. Robinson at the National Academy for the Performing Arts, NAPA. That service will begin at 9:30 a.m. on Thursday, May 1st. Areas for public viewing of this service on outdoor screens will be established at Memorial Park, Woodford Square, the Grandstand in Port of Spain, and Harris Promenade in San Fernando. Following this state ecumenical service, the body of the late President and Prime Minister will lay in state in the eastern lobby of Napa until 3 p.m. Felicia Wilson, More News 4.
The funeral of the late President and Prime Minister Arthur Napoleon Raymond Robinson will be held throughout Tuesday, April 29th, 2014 to Saturday, May 3rd, 2014. Now, during this time, members of the public are being asked to take notice of the major events and traffic changes taking place leading up to the final committal and interment on Saturday in Tobago.
On Tuesday, the body of the late President and Prime Minister Arthur Napoleon Raymond Robinson was moved from Clark and Batu Funeral Home east along Tragreet Road, south onto St. Vincent Street, east onto Knox Street, south onto Abercrombie Street, west onto Independence Square South, and then onto the Waterfront Parliament South entrance. During the time of the funeral, there will be road closures and parking restrictions. For Tuesday evening, the body of the former President and Prime Minister will return from the Parliament west onto Ricen Road and north onto Colville Street, east onto Tragreet Road into the funeral home. This will be repeated daily until Thursday, when the body of the former President and Prime Minister will be taken to the National Academy for the Performing Arts before being taken to Tobago. Key points to note: road closures and parking restrictions on Wednesday from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. on Tragreet Road between St. Vincent Street and Dundonald Street. Thursday, May 1st, 2014, road closures and parking restrictions from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Tragreet Road between St. Vincent Street and Dundonald Street, and from 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Frederick Street between Queen's Park West and Knox Street. Additionally, there will be no parking on Wednesday from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. on Tragreet Road between St. Vincent Street and Dundonald Street, St. Vincent Street between Tragreet Road and Independence Square South, and between St. Vincent Street and Ricen Road, and Ricen Road between Independence Square South to Dock Street. On Dock Street, neither on Richmond Street between Tragreet Road and Independence Square South. On Thursday, May 1st, 2014, from 5 a.m. to 4 p.m. No parking on Tragreet Road between St. Vincent Street and Dundonald Street, St. Vincent Street between Tragreet Road and Independence Square South, Independence Square North between St. Vincent Street and Chacon Street, Abercrombie Street between Independence Square North and Duke Street, Knox Street, Frederick Street, Broadway, and Eastern Main Road between South Key and Citrus Growers Association intersection. The police advises that there will be removal of vehicles unlawfully parked. Vehicles will also be impounded and drivers will be dealt with in accordance with Section 108(1) and B of the Motor Vehicles and Road Traffic Act. Drivers are asked to comply with the directions given by police officers and traffic wardens who will be on duty for this occasion. Felicia Wilson, Mon News 4.
Sports is next. Stay with us. Welcome back. The 20th Commonwealth Games will be contested in Glasgow, Scotland from July 23rd to August 3rd. Now, Trinidad and Tobago will be fielding a very strong contingent in the traditional sports and will also use the opportunity to establish a presence on the world stage in some non-traditional disciplines. For the first time, a female gymnast will be a part of our team, and leading up to the Games, Marissa Dick is rounding into form. Here's Wayne Cunningham to tell us more.
Trinidad and Tobago gymnasts Marissa Dick and William Albert both earned podium finishes at the 2014 Commonwealth Gymnastics Invitational, which took place at the weekend in Perth, Scotland. Albert, a 23-year-old based at the University of Iowa, won gold in the rings, while Dick picked up 3 medals: gold in the uneven bars, silver on the balance beam, bronze on the vault, as well as bronze in the all-round competition. The Invitational also served as a test event for the 2014 Commonwealth Games and preparation for the gymnasts as they rack up valuable competition time ahead of the Games and vie for team selection. Among the participating countries were Scotland, Singapore, Wales, Northern Ireland, India, Cyprus, Malaysia, and Bermuda. Before she attends the Commonwealth Games, Marissa Dick will first compete at the Canada Nationals in May as the top gymnast in the province of Alberta. Another gymnast, Kezia Hislop, who trains at Brescian's American Gymnastic Club in Massachusetts, is expected to represent her country at the U.S. Nationals, also in May. All 3 gymnasts will participate at the Trinidad and Tobago National Championships from June 6th to 8th. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
Thank you, Wayne. We'll take a short break. When we return, more news. Thank you for staying with us. This year marks 26 years since a massive explosion claimed the lives of 6 national security officers at Camp Omega, Chaguaramas. A special memorial ceremony was held in their honor, which was attended by family members of the fallen men, along with persons who had the honor of working alongside them.
26 years ago, on April 26, 1988, a brush fire in the vicinity of Camp Omega, Chaguaramas, quickly spread to the nearby Camp Omega Arms and Ammunition Bunker, resulting in a horrific explosion. 4 firefighters and 2 soldiers perished while valiantly attempting to bring the situation under control. Several other national security officers suffered injuries as a result of the explosion. This explosion was so catastrophic that it was recorded on the Richter scale, and parts of the bunker were found hundreds of meters away from ground zero. The day became the darkest day for the national security officers, as it marked the single most tragic event to date. Each year on the anniversary of the incident, the fallen officers are remembered and a special ceremony is held at Camp Ogden. News 4 spoke to National Security Minister, Senator the Honourable Gary Griffith, who noted the relevance of the memorial.
That shows the importance for us to remember when we have a situation like that. It was just about over 25 years ago, but it was important for us to understand that when you have situations like that, it is a sad occasion, but it's something that we must remember and remember to. That was just a few days before I was about to join the Defence Force. In fact, they were actually preparing that camp for me to go into training before I went off to Sandhurst. And that could have been me in there. It was just about a couple of days after that I was going to be enlisted into that and go in that same camp to train. So it could, at any time, it could be you. And I think it is important that we always pay tribute and we recognize those our comrades in national security who have fallen in the line of duty. And the Camp Omega was one. And just like Remembrance Day, which is done worldwide, I think it is important that we have things like this to have the family and friends be recognized, and we pay tribute to them, and we salute our fallen comrades, and also always pay respect and look up to those persons who every single day they put their lives on the line to provide us with that right to safety and security.
The ceremony, which took place on Saturday, celebrated the lives of fallen servicemen Lieutenant Gerald Walden and Lance Corporal Nizam Ali of the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment, and Fire Station Officer Louis Jordan, Firefighter Kenny Legerwood, Firefighter Earl Moore, and Auxiliary Firefighter Hadeo Nagaya. At the 25th anniversary of the incident in 2013, a cenotaph in remembrance of the victims was unveiled by survivor retired Corporal Hamilton Gabriel. In similar fashion this year, wreaths were laid by relatives of the deceased. However, this year another cenotaph was unveiled, this time in honor of the members of the Special Forces Operations Detachment who died while in service. In honor of the 6 victims of the Camp Omega explosion, the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago dedicated April 26th as National Security Officers' Day of Appreciation, which would be celebrated each year. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
As we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, we want to leave you with some photos of day 1 of the 5 days of state funeral for the late A.N.R. Robinson, former Prime Minister and President of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Remember, you can view a repeat of our newscast weekdays at 6 a.m. and feel free to visit our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/OurTV4. I am Joseph Lopez. Thank you for watching.